Koko is an anomaly, quite wholly unique in comparison to the other interesting characters involved within the series, and one of those reasons is her smile. It's a sickly smile that she plasters on her face regardless of the circumstance. A smile that scares even the maddest of men in that world. In order to speak about who Koko had become when the series had began, there's a character or two that we need to talk about first. Echo. Echo served as one of Koko's bodyguards for quite a couple years, until one night, he died protecting the little lady in a gunfight. But before that gunfight, Koko was still a bit of a serious person, but she just hadn't hardened into the little lady that we know her to be, or the world knows her to be. In short, Koko had no mask, no armor, just a team that she entrusted to serve as that.
Scared? Please save me, Velvet! I don't want to die! I paid you! You have to save me! Koko!
And Echo's death changed it all, especially his last words. Words that Koko would make sure to never forget.
But I do have just one condition. What do I always tell you? A leader should always smile, not scowl and threaten. That is the key to the life we lead.
With each episode, we get to see these words ring true over and over again. We get to see the complex mask that Koko has managed to weave, not only in order to keep herself safe as well as her team, but in order to also help her go further in achieving her goals, some that are completely unknown to the rest of the world.
The boss should always be smiling no matter what. One of my old bodyguards said that. Cover your face with a mask and wrap your heart in iron armor. Those are words my father lives by. I remember their advice because they couldn't be more right. Being in the business of selling dangerous things, as you call them, tends to rot the soul. Much in the same way a cotton shirt will rot right off your body when you're in the jungle.
But that smile serves another purpose. It's part of her limiter, if you will. In a similar vein, but to a less notable extent than Jonah is.
Why do you think Koko took in Jonah? Why invite a kid into a group of arms dealers? She's always logical, cautious, but she's taking an intentional risk with him. Sure, as an ex-child soldier, he has his uses, but that doesn't make it smart.
All good points. So what?
He calms her. Jonah acts like a limiter on her emotion. Think of him like a governor on an old car, keeping the little lady from overheating. She's got huge plans that only she knows about. By bringing in a boy who's had to fight just to survive, she's created a path to reconnect with her humanity. And maybe a path to abandon those plans and her entire life as an arms dealer. Beneath Koko's iron mask, she still has the same desires of any girl her age.
Alright, it's tangent time. I want to make a bit of a comparison between Shanks from One Piece and Koko Heck from TR. And while this doesn't seem at all related, just give me a moment. See, when I'm mainly referring to this, I'm mainly referring to the time when Shanks had to deal with the mountain bandits quite early on within the series. See, there was a mountain bandit, or the leader, named Higuma, and Higuma walks into the bar that Shanks, his crew, and Luffy are at, and comes in all big and bad, pushing everyone around, demanding alcohol. But the thing is, they had sold out. And Shanks, being the nice guy that he was, decides to go, hey, you know, they might be out for now. Sorry, my folks took them all. But I wouldn't mind giving you this bottle. Higuma says, nah, and decides to, well, do this.
Well, this is a problem, isn't it? It looks like my friends and I drank the place dry before you gentlemen came in. Sorry. You can have this one if you like. It hasn't even been opened yet.
How dare you? Can you not see who you're talking to? You know damn well that won't even be enough for a nightcap.
Aww. Now the floor's all wet and sticky.
Look at this, pal. I've got a bounty of 8 million berries on my head. I've killed 56 people, and all of them were mouthy fools like you. Huh?
Sorry about the mess, Makino. Have you got a rag?
Oh no, don't worry. I can take care of it.
Since you like to clean so much, I think you might find this mess more fulfilling.
And Shanks, instead of getting upset, instead of lashing out, beating the crap out of him, which he totally could have, he just laughs.
That fella really got you good! Talk about a loser!
Why are you laughing?
But later, when Higuma decides to directly threaten and almost, kill Luffy, Shanks shows a bit of his true nature. Just a little bit. We get to see that mask slightly unpeel. And, well, to put it bluntly, it was completely one-sided.
Listen up, bandits. If I'm sprayed with alcohol or doused with food, hell, even if I'm spit on, most of the time I'll laugh it off and forget it. But regardless of what your reasoning may be, if you hurt a friend of mine, you can believe you're gonna pay for it.
I fucking look like Chad from High School Musical off of Wish, and I don't know how to feel about that. But anyway, at the beginning of the series, Shanks had a bounty of 1 billion berries, and so when you see this interaction between himself and Higuma, the mountain bandits, it's no contest at all. Shanks' crew by themselves are so powerful that this is nothing to them.
This shit ain't nothing to me, man.
Shanks is a very interesting character, and there's a lot that could be said about him. There's a lot to be said about Koko, especially how Koko goes about her time in the world, because she's learned quite a lot, not just in terms of developing armor for herself or her smile, but how she uses all of it to her advantage. In a similar sort of way that another Jormungand character, who's also an arms dealer, uses her smile and acting tactics to her own advantage. That person being Miss Torohovsky.
At times like these, I remember why it wasn't difficult to leave my acting career behind. Don't get me wrong, theater is a beautiful art form, one that is well worth dedicating one's life to. But no matter how good you are, at the end of the day, it's just still make-believe. I wanted something more than that, so I quit. Fortunately, I discovered that the arms trade is full of actors. You are constantly trying to deceive someone, and if they see through your pretense, the consequences are real.
And just like that, in a mere matter of words, Ms. Torohovsky herself summed up her own backstory, or rather reasoning as to why she joined the arms trade, and I find it very impressive. I also find it impressive how she has managed to master one of what I believe are the two main tenements of being an arms dealer within the Jormungand series, and that is deception. She's a masterclass at it with her acting background, and she just gets to have more and more fun with it. Koko recognizes that from the start, and she recognizes very quickly that Miss Torohovsky is a threat, and one that shouldn't be taken lightly.
So is that it then? We done?
Of course not. I've planted the necessary seeds. Now we just wait for them to bear fruit. I will outwit that woman. It's what I do. And fortunately, I'm very good at it.
We have to give credit where credit is due, as Miss Torohovsky understood that Koko is a legitimate threat and one not to be taken lightly, which is why she decided to strike first, and even had a contingency plan in place. But nevertheless, that wasn't enough, because while Miss Torohovsky is a master at deception, Koko is a master at strategy. And Koko shows that because she decides to take her time, go back to her room, and send out many, many decoy emails, and do a lot of other phone calls and espionage of her own in the background, using some of her connections to pull a few strings, which ended up resulting in her truly dominating. Miss Torohovsky won the battle, but Koko won the war, and by a landslide. Miss Torohovsky knew Koko was up to something, and decided to tap her phone lines, but even then, she didn't know exactly what, and when everything came to place, all of Miss Torohovsky's cards kept tumbling down in an instant. And it was ingenious of her. Koko understood that it would be very valuable to have a CIA agent in her back pocket, and decided to bribe Chocolate with a few diamonds. Mainly one. And it's incredible seeing her foresight and her understanding that this is a very worthy investment, and this isn't the only time she does something like this. It's truly incredible. Koko's smile is one to be feared, as Koko is a dragon. And don't just take my word for it.
Honestly, it was a little terrifying to see the kind of power you have. I was listening to what you said earlier, and I can't help but wonder, maybe you're a dragon too. Oh, I mean, not in a bad way, like Baldra or anything. Just,
Priceless! You're a riot, Maggie, you know that? Me, a dragon? Only if I get to be a peaceful, fun-loving one. No burninating or anything.
But being a dragon isn't necessarily a good thing, and that's what we see here in Koko's own description.
If a man kills enough people, he's no longer a man. He becomes a dragon. Dragons are terrible beasts, jealously guarding their hoards of treasure. Their need for violence grows with their greed, until they lose all vestiges of humanity. Humans cannot allow dragons to exist, even though they are monsters of our own creation. Slaying a dragon is the ultimate honor. So in a way, Baldra, I should thank you.
So then, is Koko a dragon, or is she just on the warpath to becoming one? She's an arms dealer after all, and though the smile hides a lot, does it hide her possibly being a dragon as well? And just for the fun of it, here's another clip.
Man, there are some crazy doctors out there, am I right?
Yeah.
One of them even compared me to a dragon. Isn't that funny? Hey, Jonah, what's a dragon's roar sound like?
Ah, like that maybe?
Roar! Roar!